Hi, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Science with Mama J. Today we're going to be doing activity 14, physical and chemical properties of matter. So what we are doing is we're going to be testing all of these substances here and identifying their physical and chemical properties. So some of these are just observations. Some of these are physical tests. So the first thing we're going to look at is color. So this very first one here is a very shiny silver color. Okay. Very reflective. The second one here, this piece of copper, that first one was aluminum. This piece of copper obviously is a copper color. It is also shiny, slightly more muted than the first one, but still shiny. This third one here, this is iron. It is a little bit duller than the aluminum and a slightly darker silver, more of a gray. And it is also somewhat reflective. Okay, this here, this is Formica. It's got a tannish gray on one side, and on the other side, it almost looks like a grainy wood-like type of surface. Okay, the fourth one is a piece of polystyrene. Okay, plastic. And it is white. It is dull, it's not shiny. Okay, here we have a piece of ceramic. Okay, it is a off-white tile. Here we have a piece of wood. It's got a wooden texture. Okay, it's blonde. It doesn't have any kind of staining or anything. Okay, we have here a small glass rod, and it is clear. It is a clear glass rod. Okay, and here we have a piece of granite. It is multicolored. It primarily is like a rusty reddish color, but it has some bluish gray infused in it. And the last one is a piece of, second to last one is a piece of limestone that has a grayish color to it as well. And we have a carbon rod. Okay, so we're going to be doing light transmission next. So we need some printed paper. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a printed sheet. Okay, a printed piece of paper. Here, you can't see through it at all with the aluminum. With the copper, you can't see anything at all. With the iron, you can't see anything at all. With the Formica, you can't see anything. With the polystyrene, you can't see anything. You can't see anything through the ceramic tile, through the piece of wood. So all of those so far were opaque. You couldn't see anything at all. The glass, you can actually see through the glass. It is transparent. You cannot see through the granite, the limestone, or the carbon rod. Okay, so everything was opaque with the exception of the glass that was transparent. So luster. Okay, we actually talked about luster a little while ago. So luster We were talking about this earlier. We mentioned it with some of the substances. The aluminum is very shiny. Okay. The copper is also shiny. The iron has a little bit of shine to it. It's a little dull, has a little shine. It's nowhere near as shiny as the aluminum. There is no shine to the formica. No shine to the polystyrene. No shine to the ceramic plate. No shine to the wood. The glass, it does seem to have a shine to it. Glass does reflect light and it is shiny. Nothing for the granite. Nothing for the limestone. It is not shiny either. And nothing for the carbon. So the next test is texture. So I will tell you the first three metals, the aluminum, the copper, and the iron, all have a smooth texture. The formica is smooth, but it has a slightly more grainy texture to it. So it's not nearly as smooth as the metals. The plastic is very smooth. The ceramic plate, although it is uniform in texture, it does have a slight texture to it. It's not as smooth as the plastic. It's kind of more along the lines of the formica. The wood, although smooth, it does have a texture to it again. It's not completely smooth. The glass is very smooth. The granite is not smooth at all. It's actually very coarse, very bumpy. Limestone, a little bit smoother than the granite. The individual surfaces have a much smoother plane, but it still does have a coarseness to it. And the carbon is actually pretty smooth. Let's get my fingers sturdy there. Okay. So, flexibility. The aluminum is very flexible. The copper is also very flexible, but the aluminum was a little bit more flexible than the copper. The iron is stiffer. Okay, it does not bend very easy. The formica does not bend easy at all. In fact, I feel like if I try to bend it too far, it's going to snap. The plastic is flexible. It bends. The ceramic plate does not bend at all. And I think it would take a lot to break it. The wood, again, has no flexibility. It's very hard, very rigid. Same with the glass. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to accidentally snap it in my fingers. No flexibility in the granite. No flexibility in the limestone. And I'm going to be very careful because I could tell you that the carbon does not bend at all, but I'm afraid I'm going to snap it in half because carbon is very brittle. Okay, so hardness relative to glass. So here I have a glass plate. And if I take the aluminum and I scratch it on a glass plate, it does not do anything. So it is not as hard as glass. So its hardness relative to glass, it is less. Okay? Copper is not leaving any scratch marks. Iron is not leaving any scratch marks. Formica is not leaving any scratch marks. The polystyrene is not leaving any scratch marks. The ceramic tile is leaving a slight scratch mark, so it is harder. Wood is not leaving any scratch marks. Now the glass does leave scratch marks, but it's also being scratched against its own surface. We're definitely getting scratch marks with the granite. Let's try this again. I want to make sure we're actually able to tell. I'm not getting any scratch marks with the limestone. Nothing that's staying behind anyway. But limestone is relatively soft. And carbon, I'm not getting anything at all. Okay. So then electrical conductivity. As we can see, the aluminum is electrically conductive. Copper is electrically conductive. Iron is electrically conductive. Formica is not electrically conductive. Polystyrene is not electrically conductive. The ceramic tile is not electrically conductive. The wooden block is not electrically conductive. The glass rod, ooh. Okay, we're gonna have to do it over here on the paper. The glass rod is not electrically conductive. Okay, these are harder because they don't have a surface to grab. The granite is not electrically conductive. The limestone is not electrically conductive. And the carbon rod is electrically conductive. Density relative to water. The aluminum sinks. Let me grab a forceps. Copper sinks. And it doesn't want to come out. There we go. Let me see if I can get iron to bend a little bit. Iron sinks. That one was actually a little bit easier. Formica sinks. Polystyrene sinks. So far, everything is denser than water. Ceramic tile sinks. The wood floats. So the wood is so far the only thing that is less dense than water. The glass rod sinks. The granite sinks. That I'm going to have to use my fingers. And maybe I should move the battery. The limestone sinks. And the carbon rod sinks. Okay, so far everything is more dense than water, with the exception of the wood that is less dense than water. So I'm going to put on a dry paper towel and move these onto the paper towel, because now we're going to conduct the last test, which is a hydrochloric test. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 to 3 drops on hydrochloric acid on every material and then observe the results. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is 0.1 molar HCl, so it's a weak acid. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can't put too much on that. And looking at all of the substances, the one substance I did see a positive reaction with is limestone. The limestone, I don't know if you could see it there, but it did bubble a little bit. Okay, I don't see anything on the granite, and I see nothing else. So Ooh, that hydrochloric acid smells. Okay, so blotting everything that had acid on it just to see. It did stain the iron a little bit, but it did not react much. So the limestone had a reaction with hydrochloric acid. Nothing else had a reaction in hydrochloric acid. So I hope this was helpful. We'll discuss this in class tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care and have a wonderful day.